My name is Welma Noe. Thank you very much for your time and for attending the webinar for today. Today, the topic is reminders to customers. So, in first place, let me give a brief introduction of myself. I'm a Microsoft Dynamics and Business Central consultant, and I have more than 10 years of experience working with Microsoft products. And now we are going to be working with Business Central specifically in order to show this specific topic. And well, let's just then give some minutes, just a couple of minutes in order to see if somebody comes. So thank you very much. And just we're about to begin in a moment. Okay. So once again, welcome to the webinar. Today is send reminders to customers. Our preferred topic is specifically for the activities that we need to do. Now that we'll be close, we are closing our accounting books. We might do some specific activities that are gonna help us to properly complete these activities, series of activities actually. So we actually, part of these webinars is this topic, send reminders to customers. So in order to begin, we need to explain what are these reminders and what do they do, because they are very important. It's a very interesting topic. So the whole idea is that if you want to know how to notify your customers of overdue invoices, right? Well, we need to explain how we're going to use the functionality in order to work with this specific task, because all we have aging activities to perform related to accounts receivable and all, of course, with AP. But in this moment, the idea is just to send emails to customers automatically, and the system can do so for us by reviewing the actual documents, the data, the amounts, and if we even want to make some charges or fees or calculate interests automatically, well, this is a topic that is going to help us with that, right? So the functionality will be reviewed today. The agenda that we're going to have is, first of all, we are going to check, discern why and when reminders should be used, right? Then we're going to learn how to set them up in Business Central, and this is also for NAV. Then once we set up the initial activities, we're going to start creating some reminders for you as an example if you want to use functionality. Of course, this will be working with Outlook or SMTP services. And at the end, we're going to review the reminders entries. Do the specific activity actually calculates specific amounts and charges when they apply. So we need to review what we are creating through this type of activity. So first of all, the idea is to set the reminder terms, okay? If customers have overdue payments, you must decide when and how to send them a reminder, right? In addition, you might want to debit their accounts for interest or fees. You can set up any number of reminder terms. For each reminder term code, you can define an unlimited number of reminder levels. Now, a reminder term contains different reminder levels and determines how many reminders are sent to a customer. Each level will determine when and how the reminder is created. Typically, the first reminder for an invoice will have different look than the second and the third reminder. So what we are saying here is that we might apply different levels, and we can remind our customers not only once, but you can determine, for instance, how often you want to send a reminder. You might have different overdue invoices, Then you can specify that on the overdue invoice date, you might want to send the first reminder and so on every week, every 2 weeks, and we might have different conditions. So also we might have a fees and interests according to our internal policies that we need to apply for overdue invoices, and this functionality is going to help us to calculate those. So what are the main features that we need to understand? Okay, in Business Central, a given overdue invoice can appear or no more than and no more than 6 reminders it can be sent. Okay, the first reminder will be created according to the conditions that are set up on the level 1. So we might need to talk about levels. So we're gonna have every time we send a reminder, we consider that is a level. If we need to send a second or a third to the same customer, well, that will be level 1 to 3. The third, fourth, fifth, and sixth reminder will look identical, all right? Then, when one of the overdue invoices appear on 5 reminders, all reminders to the customers are blocked until that invoice is paid. Even if the customer has other overdue invoices that have not yet reached the maximum, additional reminders cannot be created. So the idea is that we're going to be focusing on the overdue invoice that we are sending the reminder. And if we have more, then we'll be blocking because the idea is that we need to send a reminders on the specific invoice first until we get notification, right? Then last, typically block reminders occur when a company hands over the customer dossier to a lawyer or another collection of all overdue invoices. With this approach, the company can no longer continue sending reminders to that customer from Business Central. So we can send 6 times a reminder to the customer, but in Business Central, there are no more chances to send a 7 or 8 reminder. The idea is that you need to remember this because this is going to be critical for your operation. And if you have no response from a customer, well, you will need to consider. So this is not like an internal engine sending emails to a customer, right? So once again, the idea of a reminder is once we generate invoices, Business Central is going to take a look with this functionality at the overdue date of our invoices with the customers. And with that, this functionality is going to take a look at the characteristics of the invoice, the information, basically the amount overdue, the currency, and so on. So by total amount or by line, we might send reminders via email automatically. We have this a batch job or engine for reminders that are going to take a look in an automated process. So the customers will be receiving emails. Basically, is that, right? So we're gonna start setting up our reminders and the terms. Now, the whole idea of a term, a reminder term, comes when we have a different type of reminders for different customers. For instance, for foreigners, you might want to apply a reminder in a specific currency. So you send them the reminder with the amount and even if you want to calculate interests, why not? Well, we will create a term, a reminder term for foreign customers with a specific currency and with a specific fee. I don't know, it's functional because we would like to cover our position against exchange rate. So we know that we have volatility, so we would like to cover with fees or with interest applied to the invoices that are overdue our position against exchange currency volatility. Now, for local customers, we might not apply exactly that type of policy, just as an example, but nevertheless, we would like to send reminders every week because they are local or every 2 weeks at most. So they are they will be receiving an email with the characteristics of the invoice, and we're going to check that. And they are domestic type of customers. Well, we might think of maybe have a fixed fee, or maybe not even a fee, but at least send the email, right? So that's more or less the idea of generating terms. You would need to think of specific characteristics. I can give you ideas when we make implementations like this one. So you want to, the idea is that you want to cover your position against risk. That is how this helps us in order to receive the money from our customers. So when we think of a reminder levels, like we said, is the number of times that we actually send, right? So a reminder. So the first time that you create a reminder for a customer, when you start setting up everything, we start from level 1. When the reminder is issued or sent, the level number is registered on the reminder entries that are created and linked to the individual customer ledger entries if it's necessary to remind the customer again. And all reminder entries that are linked to the Open Customer Ledger entries are checked to locate the highest level number. So Business Central is going to start reviewing how many times you have sent a reminder until you reach the 6th level, right? So if you have a customer that after the 6th reminder doesn't pay you, you might consider a collection service or something like that. Now, just for you to know, the reminder level that we're gonna be creating now, this is a demo environment, and well, we're gonna start working with the first example. In this case, this is Business Central in the cloud, but the same applies to NAV. And now we're gonna review for the first time the reminder setup. So we need to open first of all the reminder terms. Here in this page, like we said, we can set up for domestic, foreign, or you could have new ideas like you might have retail or wholesales or different type of customers, right? So you would like to specify even a specific text for all of them, right? Even in different languages, it depends, you know. So that's why we need to create different terms which allow us to create specific text. In this case, a max number of reminders that you can set up. And once you create that, well, the idea is that, okay, I need to specify for which type of customer, because I can apply text for the reminders in different languages. And of course, with the number of reminders, that's the first thing we need to understand. And we're gonna check how do we do specifically that. Then we have the reminder level. So every time we create, we can check in this example, for instance, the first reminder that we're going to set, we apply, it has a grace period of 5 days, right? A due date calculation of 1 month and additional fee for $7, all right? So this is for the first reminder, right? And it has a fee calculation type of fixed, right? So with this general idea, we can understand more or less that with the first reminder, we're gonna have to apply a fee. We have a 5 days. Taking a look at the due calculation, we can calculate interests if we want, just to give you some characteristics. So this first reminder is gonna have an actual fee on it, right? So after 5 days of the overdue date of our invoice, the first reminder will be sent, right? And then after 1 month, the second, and after 1 month, the third reminder, but with different fees. Now we have different calculation types for our fees: fixed, single, dynamic, accumulated, dynamic. So we can just consider that we can make a more complex calculation. We're going to check how exactly specifically. This is just the general characteristics, right? So we are taking a look at the different reminder levels. In this case, we are calculating interests on the foreign customers, right? And look at this, this is an accumulated type of calculation. So we are saying that we have that an interest that will be accumulating over and over and over and over. So take a look. Also, we specify that for invoices that are in Mexican peso, all right? So it's not necessarily everything at this point about Windows, but the functionality, it's more important at this point. So we can specify in our levels different currencies, and if you want to apply interests or specific fixed amounts, right? So this is a compound interest. So with this, we are saying that our foreign customers will be charged 10% of an invoice if the invoice is overdue, and we are going to be reminding. So we more or less see the idea that in a general way that first of all we need to classify our customers. Okay, so they might have different characteristics: currency, language. Then if we want to apply a specific interest or fixed fees. So with this, the calculation might have, in this case, well, for interests and fees specifically, we can apply a fixed rate or fixed amount every time we send a reminder, or it could be accumulated. So with this, you will be understanding, by the way, this will be helping us to actually create ledger entries that will then increase the balance in our customers, and they are going to be also connected to our GL accounts, creating specific entries for interests as an example, right? So in a general way, that's what it does, right? So let's take a look at one example. First of all, for the reminder levels that we're gonna be working for the first time, we would need to take a look at the reminder terms, all right? So for us, the first time we create a one reminder level, we might think of, okay, what type of customer we are going to be working with. Okay, so for me, it's very important to specify that because of the type of customers that I will send, okay, how often should I send our reminders? All right, so in this example, we were going to be working first of all with grace periods, okay? So the following table shows a grace period and due date calculations used on an invoice that is due on January 29, okay? So the last day of any specific month, in this case January, we have an overdue date. What is going to happen here? Okay, we have three levels, as you can see here. In the first column, reminder level. In the second, the invoice due date prior reminder due date. Okay, so we know that on the 29th of January, the invoice will be overdue. So a grace period in reminder terms means that I will be having 3 days after the overdue date to send the reminder. So the reminder will be sent at most on February the 2nd, 3 days after our overdue, after our invoice is overdue. All right. So basically, that's the idea. Then a due date calculation in reminder terms. In the following column, we have 5 days. Okay. So the whole idea is that we have the possibility to then set the reminder term and apply the reminder on until between the 3 days and the 5 days. Okay, so you can send then this document with the grace period in reminder terms 3 days. After the overdue, the invoice is overdue, we have 3 days to send it, but the reminder will be overdue after 5 days, and so on. So we have a grace period when we can just wait for the customer. Okay, so he can sit on, or in this case, after 3 days, we are going to send the first one. Or we have a due date calculation also for reminders. So Business Central will see that, and yes or yes is going to send the reminders after 5 days. Okay, that's the idea. So we can help the customers after the overdue date of an invoice, and they can have a grace period, all right? But we also have a due date to send a reminder. That's the first idea we need to learn for every level, right? Then, once we have that idea, we have I have told you that we also have text that you can create in order to send to the customer on the reminder specifically through the email that we're going to be creating. Let me explain a little bit about this. Actually, the functionality is super easy to use. It's just exactly how I've been explaining. But in this case, okay, I have to navigate, the reminder level page that we have created, and I have a specific window where I can add reminder text, okay? So you can see here, I have some specific variables. This is programming. You owe 9%, 7%, due on 2%, okay? So the idea is that you can create and you can generate any type of text that you want, right? So in this case, it's very simple. You owe and the specific amounts due on specific dates. So these percentages actually mean something because the idea is that on this window, we are going to be telling Business Central that he can take a look at the variables of my invoices. So with these percentages that I'm writing here, and the text that we can create, and you can be maybe you could add more text, like thank you very much, or please pay attention to the following message because this is an important, or this is an important message to you because we are going to review our activities for the promotion for the end of the year or whatever. You can add any text you want. The important thing about this that I would like to explain you is the percentages that we see here. You owe 9%, 7%, due on 2%. These specific variables are telling to Business Central, take a look at some data on my invoices and show it in the message. Let's take a look at this dictionary for us to help us understanding this same message on the left side. For example, if you write you owe 9%, 7%, due on 2%. In the right side, we have a table explaining us what specifically Business Central is going to print on that field, on the text, using the following table. So the 9% in this case, in our example, if we take a look at the table, means the currency code. So with this, specifically, Business Central is going to review the currency code of the specific invoice that he's reviewing, and then is going to take a look at the 7%, which means if we take a look at the table, the total amount of the reminder that is here. So we are specifying, take a look at the currency and the amount of the invoice. Due on 2% that we have here, and in the table is the due date. So you can see any type, all of these different variables would be important for us if you want to create something more according to your needs. For instance, if you calculate interests, of course that you want to show that to the customer that you are applying an interest, show it on the message, specify that you are calculating a specific interest on the invoice amount, and after you write your text, you would need to tell Business Central, well, we have a variable here coming from the invoice because the interest is coming from the invoice calculated from my reminders terms. So bring it on, show it on the message, all right, and so on. So it depends on the specific policies, right? So once again, just to have a brief summary, we can have text that we need to specify because you want to notify your customers about the specific variables of the invoice or in the reminder. We have a grace period and we have an overdue date for the reminder. So Business Central will take a look at all of this and it's going to send the reminder. All right, basically just that. Now, we have one specific engine or a batch job to create these reminders for us. So let's take a look. Only entries with overdue amounts. We can specify when we see how it works, this specific type of options to select. Then we have three, only entries with overdue invoice, then include entries on hold, and the last use header level. So you can select these options when you actually automate the process. Now, only entries with overdue amounts, the first option. In this field, if you select this option, the batch job only inserts open customer ledger entries with the due date that is earlier than the document date. If this field is clear, the bottom of the reminder contains the amounts that are owed by the customer but are not yet overdue. So through the reminders, you can control if you want, with this first option, if you only want to send reminders for overdue or for the actual complete list of invoices that are still open, right? So basically you can control that in first place. Then the second option include entries on hold. In this field, if this field is selected, the batch job includes open customer ledger entries that contain a value in the on hold field. All right, irrespective of the setting in the only entries with overdue amounts, right? The bottom of the reminder contains the amounts that are on hold, right? If this first the field is clear, the batch job will not include open customer ledger entries that are on hold. What happens here, we sometimes have specific documents that are on review, or we have issues with our customers, and we have the possibility in Business Central to put on hold our transactions, our operations with a customer, all right? But that doesn't mean that you anyway wouldn't need to stop the reminders, so you can decide that, okay? Whatever the reason for us to have a customer on hold status, it doesn't avoid us from sending reminders anyway. Now, the last one, user header level. If this field is selected, the reminder level of the reminder header is used to determine whether to calculate interest for a specific reminder line, right? So you know that already that you can apply fees and interests in this case. Well, we can apply interests, very important, on the total amount of an invoice or on the specific line, all right? So in this case, what we are saying is that we are getting very detailed about the invoice information, because the functionality can take a look at the overdue amount overall. But anyway, you can specify whether you would like to take a look at the actual line through specific through the functionality, so you can apply interests only on one line of the invoice, all right? That's really detailed actually, but it's more oftenly used to work on the amount of the actual document, right? So let's make a demo. Let's take a look at the functionality with these brief explanations for us to start understanding, after the initial setups, the variables that we have explained. Let's take a look at how do we create the first reminders as an example. We have the reminders window where we have the functionality to create reminders automatically for us. So here we have the date of the document that we are creating, in this case, the last date of my month, which is April in this demo, but this will be normally generated on a weekly basis, more or less, all right? So for your customers. And here you have the three options that we have explained for. Only entries with overdue amounts. I am specifying that at this point. Only overdue invoices. I don't want to send reminders for the last invoices that I created. Then in this example, you can specify whether you want to send a customer or a reminder for a specific customer or for all of them. In this case, will be for all that I have in this specific demo. And I have two lines. So the first one is for trade research and the second one for Alpine Sky House. With this, what I'm saying is I'm going to take a look at the reminder actually. So I'm going to send a reminder for trade search. We can take a look at the header, and the reminder level is 1, if you see how it is. So is the first one, the first reminder, and on the lines, I can see that I'm having an invoice for a specific amount. Let me go back to the specific document. And after in the line, NAB is a Business Central is taking a look at the amount that is still remaining of the specific invoice and with the document number, and it's gonna take a look at the reminder term that in this case, we set it up with an additional fee like we saw before with a fixed amount of 7, all right? With this, at the end, you see how is please remit your payment. Just simple as it's a text that we are sending. So, excuse me. The customer trade research, the contact Helen Ray, we need to set up, of course, the email of this contact, very important, so they can receive the information. With these lines, they are not going to receive specifically this window. They're going to receive an email. But what we are saying here is, okay, first of all, give me the document number or the set of documents. Then the GL account that we specify, this is all configuration. We help with all of this when we make and when we implement the functionality. We help you to do and to tell you need to configure your contacts, your emails, and so on. And we are gonna ask you for specific accounts whenever you apply interests or additional fees. So you might have them if you already have the functionality, but if not, well, that's why we have this type of webinar, so you can see the functionality, how then we help, how then we implement the functionality. And all your customers preferably should have the previous information that I have explained. And well, for the topic, we have an additional fee, remaining amount, the currency, the invoice document, and well, all the text information that we can and we should specify so they can see this through an email. At this point, this doesn't mean that we have sent it. We have just generated, because this is a proposal of a reminder, but the person in charge, preferably from AR, will review all of the reminders created, like I'm doing right now, to see if the information is correct. And guess what? Not only that, you can still edit this information. I'm gonna show you how in our following exercise. And then once you actually see that the information is correct according to your policies, remember that you can send reminders to only one customer or to all of your customers according to the options that we have presented for selecting only for overdue invoices, for hold statuses, and so on. Okay, so just to give you a brief summary. Now, in our following exercise, I have an issue, all right? I know that the reminder was created, but anyway, I still need to make some tweaks, and I would like to update that reminder before sending it. Then I need to just create my reminders, okay? And with these options, again, for the last date of the week or the month, right? Let's take a look at that. Very important. Always take a look at your dates. We normally work on a weekly basis when it comes to reminders, just for you to know that part. And it's very important to specify if you only want to work with overdue amounts or with all of the specific, all the invoices that are open, right? So use a header level. You want to calculate interests based on your actual header or even the lines. So you can specify that. And here, the customer, you can filter the customer ledger entries and apply fee and so on. All right, I'm just creating them because I'm not going with the advanced features yet. This is just the basics in order to start learning, right? So I'm going to open my reminder once again. And here I can see once the trade research a reminder. The reminder level is 1 again, all right? But in this case, I need to, for instance, the fee is not correct, or I would like to change. Also, look, remit your payment. In this case, will be helping us to work with this. And this is necessary at this point to change everything, okay? I don't want to calculate additional fees. So the text that is sent or the customer is receiving would need to change as well. But then how do I do that, all right? Because I need to understand in the first place how the level of automation for us is working for us. So first of all, we see the header, we have the lines. We can delete the additional fee if you want. You can delete everything if you want, right? So that's what I'm doing. But let's take a look at the text. Please remit your payment of the total amount that was previously calculated as soon as possible. But because I just came on here and randomly, because of the example that I'm doing, I just work with I need to update the message, all right? So I have a function to update reminder text. With this, any Business Central is going to take a look at what you're actually changing and updating, even the reminder level. If for any reason you don't want to send the reminder level 1 in this example, you can change it to the number 2 or 3. So this will be saying that you are hurrying up things, okay? Specifically, take a look, very important, if you calculate fees, all right, well, that will be important to consider it if you want to change your reminder level, because all your reminder levels can have different type of messages, like hurry up, like, well, this is critical, this is your last reminder, and that type of things, you know, in order to hurry up things. So you can control, once you get the feeling of how reminder works, well, this has just changed at this point with the functionality, the actual amount in this case, all right? So we are getting rid of the fee, and this is how we update any type of a reminder that we are sending. Very important, any variable that you want to calculate, and if you want to still edit it, and then you use the function to update your reminder. So Business Central is going to take a look at the texts, the currencies, the amounts, if you want to change them because they are editable, right? Or even the text that you want to send, Business Central can help you to change it, right? According to the specific functions. Now, if you want to specifically, you already know that you can send specific text, all right? Like a critical, please help us reviewing the due dates, and the previous messages that we just saw before. But those are not the only messages that we have, right? Please remit your payment. Text is generated by Business Central, and you can change the language. Just tell us and just change also the language of your customer, and all of this is updated on the actual language as an example, right? Just for you to understand the features that we have. But you can work together with us, the consultants, in order to actually work with all your implementation. So this actually is very, very useful for you and the specific customers, right? Now, we have just created and edited our first reminder in this example. And what do we do then? Once we understand that the AR clerk review all the information, our reminders are fine, the interests were calculated fine, and the text that the customer is receiving is okay as well. Well, we just need to issue it, all right? So this means that we are actually sending it through email, and the contact, in this case, Helen Ray, is going to receive the actual information through her email, all right? Now, once we just work with that, we just have an option to issue, according to the specification, the reminder to the customer, right? So this should include the actual amounts and the interest and fees. Basically, once this is done, we just need to use the issue option, and this is going to open this window, okay? So we have different options here. If you want to print them, you want to, so you can generate a PDF. Remember that Business Central works with Office perfectly, it's a seamless integration, or send it directly through Outlook, and so on, okay? So with this, also we have numbers, by the way. This is important when it comes to control and historical information. When you get rid of and understand the feel of the reminders, you can generate, or if you don't use a number for this filter, okay, let's just send all and issue all the reminders, not only one, all right? That filter works like that. So we have historic data or historical information saved in the issue reminders, right? This is not editable. This is like any other transaction, invoices, or payments. We have generated a document, but this is an actual invoice, right? In this case, for the, not specifically an invoice, a reminder containing invoice information, but this could actually impact, if we calculate interest as an example, on a GL level your transaction. This is a demo environment. This is not generating GL entries at this point, but I'm just trying to show you that you have the historical data here. And if you're familiar with Business Central, you have your entries for customers and for all the information related, right? So we have that on your database saved. So if you want to work with reminders, remember we create customer entries, actual customer entries for interest and amounts with actual amounts that are increasing the balance of the customer. So be aware of that, okay? So we have the open a relevant customer card and then select the ledger entries. If you want to see the historical data, we just open it as any other transaction that you post to the customer, okay? So for those of you who still do not work on this in depth yet, or you are still learning, we have a subledger for customers, not only on the GL level, that actually is going to save our information and is going to have the reminder or finance charges entries. So for us, a reminder is actually a financial charge, all right? So when we work with Business Central, we have final charges coming from different operations, like not only our invoices, but if we want to ship an invoice, we have a charge, right? Because we have insurance for our customers, for merchandise, or we apply warrants and other type of services that are considered charges. But also we have financial charges when it comes with banking specifically, with some fees that we apply from like interest specifically, and fees coming from our specific limitations that we have that we need to apply, not limitations, but specific expenditures that we need to apply, so the customer needs to pay through the entries that are applied. And we can see all this information on the customer ledger entries. So we have invoices, payments generated from the customers that we actually receive, and we have one option on the detail that is going to help us to see why are these amounts of these entries are calculated. All right, so we have the customer ledger entries and the details, right? On the detail level, we can see the charges that we are doing, right, coming from our reminder. Or in this case, well, since we are not integrating any type of interest, well, because remember that we deleted it, we are not charging, but still we have the reminder history. So if you work now with reminders, you are going to start having that information, and we review it oftenly because we want to see how many reminders we have sent to an invoice. Okay, so this is very important. You can see that most of you know that the customer ledger entries, when we have overdue amounts, you can see here that all these lines on the customer ledger entries are black, specifically in this area, but we have here one red line. This is the one that we are actually taking a look at the details, because I told the system, review my overdue invoices and send the reminders. So actually, when I take a look at the historical data of the customer, the red lines are overdue invoices, okay, that I have not received payments. So if I want to take a look at the invoice, I can see I have already sent one reminder, okay? But you would need to pay attention of this, because it might reach the sixth reminder, the sixth level, and with this you might be considering actually that if you have plenty of issues with the customer, this is a great way to understanding the level of the complexity with the customer through the reminders that you have sent, through the number of overdue invoices that you have seen. So this also helps you monitoring what's the problem, because the remaining amounts, the charges that you are doing, and on the reminder level, you can see how many times you've been remembering and sending reminders to the customer, right? So basically that's the idea of all of this information, right? So once we understand that we set the reminders, we can apply fees, interest, we can see the history, and we can monitor, hey, how many times I've been working with a customer and still is not paying, as an example, right? So this is the idea of the actual reminders. Now, in the following example, I'm going to give you a scenario where I'm going to actually work with this type of customers, all right? Because for AR purposes, and we generate reports for you, right? Or if you want to have a, like in this example, I have a chart here, a beautiful dashboard, okay? We also work with BI intelligence, specifically with Business Central, that we might work with Power BI or Business or Jet Reports as an example, where we have in the past implemented for our customers different BI reports where we do not only see the history that we saw before, but we can generate KPIs as an example. The reminder level, the type of critical level that we are reaching, okay? The ratio of responses after you send a reminder if the customer starts responding, because that's more difficult to actually monitor, right? So that's necessary then to use BI, but the engine and the functionality is here. Now, let's work with the first scenario, okay? As a normal basis with our customer, this is an example that actually we have very, on a common basis. At least a few of our customers are problematic, okay? So in my Kronos company, my example company, we have some troublesome customers who are consistently late or paying invoices, okay? So as the accounts receivable administrator, you are asked to set up a new reminder terms name top 3 with a description top 3 late payers, okay? So this is the most common reminder that you will be creating all the time, monitoring your activity and send to the worst customers that are not paying. Also, this is helpful when you review your aging reports as well, okay? Just let's take a look at the worst, okay? So at least this can be easily reviewed. That's why I'm using this example, but because of at least this example is gonna be used in order to generate the reminders now. In the second square, additionally, you must send a reminder every 14 days with no more than 4 reminders before the account is sent to collections. So this is a real example, okay? This reminder only includes only one level with an ending text, no complexity here for us for the first time that we do an exercise. And this informs the customer of the current reminder number and that after the form notice, the account will be sent to collections. So when the reminder term is set up, assign it to the actual customers. And this is just a random example that I'm doing with random customers, but these at least are the worst customers that you review with your aging report with the either a large number of transactions that are overdue or the larger amount, okay? Both of them are important, and at least even if you don't have BI or any type of monitoring activity, at least with this type of example, you need to work with reminders. Now, I'm going to just open Business Central and I'm going to show you that how do we create that for the first time, okay? I have reviewed my aging report. I know that I have 3 customers and I need to start working on that for the first time for me to start learning at least how do we, in our first scenario, we use the actual reminder. So I'm going to create then the top 3 reminder for these worst customers that I have, right? And then the top 3 is created. I need to add a description, right? The code is top 3, the description is top 3 late payers. And then I need to specify how many reminders I need to, I'm gonna be sending to these customers, all right? So in the level 1, now I'm creating my levels. I'm gonna have a grace period, like I said, is 14 days. So every 14 days, I'm going to be sending a reminder, right? And after that, I'm going to navigate and create an ending text. Like we have specified before, we have a table with specific codes with percentages, all right? So in this case, the whole idea is that I will be creating the text that I will be sending to this a customer. So this is a reminder, and the percentage is percentage 8. The reminder, this is the level, the reminder number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So with percentage 8, we are telling Business Central send the reminder level. After the 4 reminder, your account will be send to collection, okay? And you can continue adding lines in this text, right? So just two basic lines for all the worst customers to send information. You also can then add fees or interests. It depends. It depends. Okay, but for the basic example, this is the most important to create, right? Not yet fees or anything. Actually, if you want to create fees or interest, we're going to help you with that go through that process, because interest is a specific topic to review, and it's not only a topic of reminders, but actual calculations for overdue invoices. So we need to understand your policies if you want to apply. Now, I'm just going to open after I created a reminder. I would like to add it to one of my customers, right? That I know they have an overdue balance, right? So you can see here, well, the customer card, and in the payment section, I have one specific field where I'm going to be adding the reminder term that I have just verified for this customer. So I'm just adding in the reminder term code, the top 3 code that I have created, and that's all. I'm going to start adding to the other customers, right? That's the idea. That it's basically very easy to, actually the functionality in order to be used is more like BI, because configuring is super easy to do, right? But when it comes to actually monitoring this, you need to have the feel and look, just adding to another customer the top 3. So, like I said, we're going to be monitoring this every 14 days. So we need to remember that more or less in January, or in 2 months, basically, for those of you that will be seeing the webinar in the future, in 2 months, I need to understand that I will be sending this to collections, all right? This customer, if I still do not receive an answer. So as you can understand, you might have different variables, different reminder terms, and policies, of course, for charges. So, like I said, in 2 months, we're going to be reviewing this. We're going to have different policies. Well, this is for the worst, but still, you might, I don't know, would like to apply reminders for all the customers, though they are not overdue, right? But with not that hard message, okay, that to send to collections or anything, but maybe you just would like to reminder you are going to have an invoice that will be overdue on a specific date. So just like a friendly reminder as well. So create another policy, another reminder term, and well, like I said, it's super easy to set up, but from now on, we will need to start monitoring our historical data, and with this, we can help you also to understand and to have the feel and look of the actual functionality once we implement, help us understanding your necessities. Like, okay, I need to apply interests, I need to work with foreign customers with different currencies. How do I apply different texts, right? Like in this case, for the worst customers, but another scenario, just the normal customers that do not have overdue balances, but still want to send reminders, and so on. So another idea, very important for reminders, when to apply interests and when to have this type of fees, all right? Well, it depends, but we normally have credit limits, okay, for customers, and that's a normal operation to make sales on accounts. Well, for some scenarios, we would like to work with our credit limits, but sometimes our customers that have a credit limit might go over the actual limit that we work with. Well, immediately we would like to assume that after our credit limit, we will need to apply a fee or an interest, right? So on a weekly basis or periodic basis that you can decide, we can monitor your credit limits for you to start assigning fees or interest for specific customers. And also, once they start paying, we would like to help you understanding when that is happening for you to have like a different levels, let's say. So the scenario, at least to work with normal implementation, is the worst, the normal customers, and the specific customers, your favorite or your the customers that work normally oftenly with you, that purchase more, where you would like to offer credit limits. Okay, credit limits are not offered to all customers, right? Because we need to understand that this is more generally applied to wholesaling. For retail and the POS, and well, that type of operation is different, all right? But anyway, the whole idea is that this type of reminder level very important to understand. Application and functionality works with the Business Central customers that you create in your Business Central catalog, so you can apply this. Now, if you have some other ideas, of course, that they always are we have always different variables for the different region for customers that have told us, okay, I would like to apply a fee to cover my exchange rate from a position. So I don't want to have issues with currency specific for foreign currencies that sometimes they are not paying because we do not have like with local currencies like a physical contact, you know, so you can see the person, interview, but they are still we are still monitoring the activity. So sometimes you want to apply specific currencies for some invoices and apply a fee to cover your position. So in 2 months, like in this example, you know that a customer is not going to be paying you in 2 months. Well, at least or you need to apply a fee to increase the overdue amounts for the customer that is not paying, and you need to create a contract maybe in order to work with this, to start selling to specific customers or foreign customers, and to have like assurance or on your actual operations that you do. So what's the idea of the reminder level? If you want to have it everything in a nutshell, is risk management. If you know that you have risk, customers do currencies, they are not paying through monitoring the activities, well, just create a reminder level for the risk customers. Then for the normal customers with no application of interest or anything, but still sending reminders, right? And then at last but not least, well, for specific scenarios with currencies, with specific risk criteria that you can tell us how you work with some specific customers, and help us understanding your necessities so we can evaluate how to apply different policies that can help you to go and use the functionality, right? So this is all for this specific topic. Thank you very much for your attention. This is just part of the activities that we will be working with once we close, and we would like to help you with your AR collection. So the following webinar will be also helping us to close and monitor, but now we're going to be working with the closing fiscal year activities. So this is actually one of them, but we also work with vendors in the AP process, with banking to work with the reconciliation. We need to start receiving and call our vendors, send us material, start preparing your invoices for AP, for AR, with bank, so generate the cash flow and so on. And last but not least, once you have all your documents in place, we would like to show you not only the prerequisites, but the actual tasks that you need to perform the closing activities for the year, fiscal year. So, well, that will be our next webinar on Thursday. Thank you very much for your time and have a nice day.